So today I'm going to talk to you about hypermobility. I've been asking for ideas for yoga for certain ailments, and a few people have asked me about hypermobility. Now, hypermobility occurs when the joint goes too far out of say normal range, and then the muscles, tendons, and ligaments around it don't support the joint, so it almost subluxes, or you might a slight dislocation. Sounds very extreme, but that can happen for some people, especially in joints like the shoulders, the elbows, the knees, and the hips even. So classic signs of this would be if you saw somebody in a downward dog, and the it's almost like a turning of the elbow so that the arms scoop in. And because people can't see their arms in downward dog, it's much easier for a yoga teacher or someone observing someone to see that. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to combat that in downward dog, but also just to talk about a few other things. Like if you saw somebody with quite a bowed leg, and that bowed leg meant that there's no structure around the knee to protect it. Now, aesthetically, these things can look quite good in certain poses, which is why some people are pushed too far if they've got hypermobility. So if somebody had, say, a bowed leg and they were pushing back into downward dog or into extension, the muscles at the back of the knee would overstretch, and that would then cause a lot of pain. So for things like knees, you need to keep them in a slight micro bend at all times, which can take a lot of strength. But if you can focus on that within your practice, then it can be an absolute life changer. It can be the difference between practicing once a week and practicing every other day. Say, you see people practicing every day. It might be something that you want to work towards, or can make you quite jealous sometimes if something's causing you pain. So elbows is a classic example of observing it in somebody. Also knees are, but shoulders can really go out of whack and not have the support around the shoulders in the musculature, say in the back of the shoulder, to be able to keep it from winging all over the place. So what you classically see, if someone was to pick something up, the shoulders would be almost winging out at different angles. Now, I had this once when I did Ashtanga all the time. So I was doing a lot of chaturanga, so a lot of press-ups. And with that came tiredness and fatigue in the shoulders. But also then my right shoulder started winging all over the place, and I could feel it almost kind of out of control, really. So to be able to control the muscles at the back of the shoulder and then be able to do the posture really does make a massive difference. So I hope that helps. I know a lot of people do come to things like yoga, but also things like dancing, because these things look good in a certain pose. So a lot of ballet dancers are very hypermobile because they are able to stretch far more than the average person. So they'll be able to do the splits, no bother. But to be able to do the splits without any control is a very different matter. So I'm going to do a demonstration later of how to correct yourself within downward dog. And hopefully that will be able to help people who are then observing people and able to give a few cues